Hi, my name's Rich, and today we're going to be talking about the Bladesinger subclass for Wizard. It's going to get introduced in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, coming up soon. It was originally in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, but it's getting reprinted in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything with a few major modifications. Before we get started, if you're a returning subscriber, then thanks for watching the video. And if this is your first time watching my videos, I cover Dungeons & Dragons subclasses, news, spell analysis, and everything in between. So if you subscribe, you'll stay in the loop and get to see when my new videos come out. First up, a little bit of history about the Bladesinger. It originally started in the 2nd edition of Dungeons & Dragons, and is a fusion of fighter and wizard, being able to use their swords and cast magic spells at the same time. They're traditionally an elf or half-elf race, and with Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, the race restriction is going to be lifted, and you combine that with the modifications to a lot of character races, it opens up a world of possibilities for the Bladesinger subclass. In the 5th edition, that we're going to be talking about today, the Bladesinger is a wizard subclass, so you need to get to the 2nd level of wizard before it unlocks. And with Tasha's Cauldron, the restrictions are going to be lifted, but in the past, Bladesingers were traditionally from the Forgotten Realms. The Forgotten Realms wiki is a great source of information for this sort of thing. As it stands, the Bladesinger is a bit of a glass cannon. They have lots of great abilities and attributes that a melee fighter would have, advantage of casting spells, but the downside is that they don't have a lot of hit points. I've noted that some of the races that would suit the Bladesinger quite well, human variant with the mobile feat, being able to jump in and booming blade and then slip back out without anybody getting an opportunity attack on them. Equally, the goblin race will let you disengage as a bonus action, which could be used to great effect. And you could try a turtle. If you get the grappler feat as a turtle, you can cast the create bonfire cantrip, grapple the enemy, and then make sure they're just staying in the bonfire, and the reoccurring damage will fairly rack up. For Bladesinger, the multi-classes, you could dip into Rogue for the bonus action disengage like we've just discussed, and you would get the sneak attack damage as well. I think it's a good idea to build it up, to build up the damage, and you can only get one sneak attack a round, so bear that in mind when the Bladesinger gets to level 6 and has multiple attacks. Another great multi-class is Artificer. There you get to use their intelligence modifier as a weapon bonus instead of their strength or dexterity, so it synergizes quite well with the Bladesinger. You could also dip 2 levels into Fighter to get Action Surge, or you could get 3 levels and go for a Psy Knight or an Eldritch Knight. I think there is some crossover there. Also, the Echo Knight is a great subclass because it lets you free up your character and have a lot more mobility and not relying on your spells as much. This is not 100% confirmed, I'm just going off the leaks and rumours. I'm sure if you're watching this since the Tasha's Cauldron book has been released, you can confirm what I'm suspecting. The elf restriction is lifted, and there is a change to the blade song. It used to be tied to 2 times every short rest, and now it's tied to your proficiency bonus and resets every long rest. Another change is that at level 6, the Bladesinger traditionally was able to do 2 attacks, and now you can replace one of those attacks with a cantrip, which I will go into greater detail later in the video about which spells would work with that the best. Another rumoured change for the wizard is that all wizards can swap out a cantrip on a long rest after 3rd level. I think this gives a lot of flexibility and lets you be able to experiment with different cantrips. And once you settle into a groove, you'll have your staple set of cantrips, but until then, this is a great way to test the waters with something like True Strike, for example, just so you can get it out of your system and never use that again. I try to stay positive in this channel, but True Strike is truly the worst spell in the whole game. Next up, we're going to talk about the abilities the Bladesinger gets. And at level 2 you get training in War and Song. This gives you proficiency with light armor and proficiency with one type of one-handed melee weapon of your choice. You also gain proficiency in the performance skill if you don't already have it. Out of all the standard weapons available, I would recommend a rapier, because that's based on your dexterity and does 1d8 damage, or a whip, because that has the reach ability, meaning you can whip someone from afar and still stay out of their attack range. At level 2, they get Blade Song. As we've discussed before, it's tied to your proficiency bonus now. I'll describe the Blade Song ability as follows. When you aren't wearing medium or heavy armor or using a shield, you can use it as a bonus action, and it graces you with supernatural speed, agility and focus. When you start the Blade Song, it lasts for 1 minute. It ends early if you're incapacitated, if you don any medium or heavy armor, or if you use 2 hands to make a weapon attack. When the Blade Song is active, you gain a bonus to your armor class equal to your intelligence modifier. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. You get advantage on acrobatic checks, and you gain a bonus to any constitution saving throw you make to maintain your concentration spells. The bonus is equal to your intelligence modifier. So as you can tell, this greatly increases your survivability with your armor class increasing. If you have a way to disengage as a bonus action, you can jump in, attack with a booming blade, and then jump out, so the enemy is either forced to move to attack you, meaning they get the booming blade damage, or they have to attack somebody else. The Bladesinger reminds me a little bit of the swashbuckler rogue in that sense, or the drunken monk. They both have great mobility and abilities to get in and out of combat. At level 6, the wizard gets an extra attack, so you can attack twice as an action. You can use one of these attacks as a cantrip, and using 2 weapon fighting allows you to attack 3 times per round, putting you on par with more melee focused classes like the fighter, the paladin and the barbarian. At level 10, you get Song of Defiance. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to expend 1 spell slot, and reduce that damage to you by an amount equal to 5 times the spell slot's level. This adds some much needed defense to the subclass. The only downside is that it uses up a reaction, so you can't combo it with a shield spell, but overall it's a great way to minimize the damage coming in. And finally, at level 14, you get Song of Victory. You can add your intelligence modifier to the damage of your melee weapon attacks while your Blade Song is active. By this time you should have 20 intelligence because the wizard gets ample opportunities to upgrade their stats, and this is relatively late in the game at level 14. It's almost too late. By the time you get to level 14 you have access to level 7 spells, so you shouldn't be worried about attacking for an extra 5 damage per hit. Some of the 7th level spells you can take at level 14 are Crown of Stars, and Prismatic Spray, or Mordenkainen's Sword, all powerful ways to deal damage. Now that we've went over the Bladesinger's abilities, you should check out my next video which will be covering all of the spells the Bladesinger has available, and which ones are focused towards melee and help the wizard out the most. Well, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Have a nice day, goodbye.